One of the videos that I posted, my long form vlog ones, got like 1,300 views, which is 10x what it usually gets. 9 or 10 comments so far. In my world, that was definitely an outlier of something that popped off, which is like encouraging when you get when your stuff gets a little bit more traction. It kind of helps you because most of the stuff I'm shipping, like less than 10% actually gets a little bit of action, and but you justify it on the process and the building it out and this and that, which I talk about all the time. But it was cool to get one that popped. And then I rewatched it. I was like, yeah, this is high value adding. It's organized nicely. It has a good first 60 seconds where I've been working harder at putting the most interesting stuff in the beginning and then providing value. And that video did a lot of that. And it also helped, I think, because obviously there's a big overlap between Hermosi's stuff and what I'm doing, is the information was coming through somebody else and I was just relaying you what I had learned rather than me telling you all the things that I've learned, my direct experience, versus coming from an authority figure with a lot more experience. Hermosi came to my gym. I asked him through a handwritten note if I could have a ticket to a scaling workshop at acquisition.com. And that led to me going out there and learning a bunch about the business and the scaling workshop. And it's just a really cool moment. And then I made a post about it. It took off. And that said post telling that story, kind of motivating people to go for their own ask, has turned into inbound opportunities for me. Therein is the main reason I continue to keep making and shipping content, because you can get leverage out of what you're already doing. I had a convo with a kid on a podcast, and he found me through the Hermosi post. A podcast is such a cheat code, and I'm thinking to myself, I should definitely start a podcast for this reason, because it gives the other person that you ask a reason to actually have a conversation with you. If you ask me to go get coffee and can I pick your brain, there's a lot of friction. I'm less inclined to do that. Frankly, I don't really want to do that. However, if we have you on the podcast, now I can ask myself as questions, we can turn it into content, and you, the person that I'm asking, actually get something out of it. We're launching a new intro offer at Allegiate called the Initiation Week. And the idea is basically we've got a differentiated product. We should have a differentiated onboarding experience and intro offer instead of a 1-week pass where people come in and they're kind of thrown to the wolves, and you really don't have a great first impression because we don't have front desk anymore. Now it's going to be, you purchase this 1-week initiation week for $99, gets you 2 personal training sessions, 2 classes, and a packet with a bunch of high value information and 4 free bonuses, 6 months to a nutrition tracking app, 1 free strength conditioning program, and then a module from our nutrition blueprint all about calories and understanding them when it comes to gaining weight and losing weight. Those are just to make the $99 thing even more enticing. So that's the general idea. I go and I pitch to the founders. Okay, they're in. I start pitching it to the coaches, getting them in, seeing if I can even pitch it out. And then now we decided to do a beta test, and we've got 7 or 9 people rolling through this beta test right now. I just scheduled all the feedback calls for next week, so I'll be able to have immediate feedback on their experience with the trial process, and I'll ask them questions, and I've got some ideas in my head that I wrote down on paper. How can we make sure that we've got enough margin built into that thing where I'm not going to get rich off this intro offer, but if I can subsidize or make up for some of the commissions that we're going to lose on the 6-week program, if my sales rep's making $500 a month in commissions from those 6-week programs, how many of these initiation weeks do I have to sell and at what price point to be able to compensate for that? And then I'm not going to have the same advertising spend of doing $3,000 a month per location, so I'll have less money out. And I think organically, because this is a new unique idea, I think we're just going to be able to win, and we're going to spend less money on doing it. I'll run that for 3 months, and then I'll probably use that data, make the system even tighter in the experiences, and then we'll use ad spend on this new intro offer where now we've got this new unique thing that we've beta tested, and hopefully that's going to attract the right person. It's going to allow us to sort of grow this business from a paid acquisition side.
3 months ago, I hired a freelancer to help me out with organic content. And I want to do a quick update on how it's been going so far. So the problem that I was trying to solve was it takes so much of my time to come up with ideas, to write, film, script, etc. I would like to have somebody that could just feed me scripts. I could just write those, say them back, and then send them, and then boom, we could turn it into some content, right? Because I want to be consistent and I want to invest in organic media because it's one of the best ways to just build your business in today's day and age, because you can turn those into paid ads and other things like that. 3 months in so far, and I just got off a phone call with her right now, basically telling hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm delaying getting her feedback. when the posts come live, I'm like having a cringe factor, like, oh, it just doesn't feel like me. So there's me, the creator that's been doing this for 7-8 years, running the channel and building it up and having a certain aesthetic, look and feel and approach, bringing somebody on to help out. And even with my feedback, still feeling like some of those things are just not how we would like communicate it. On one side, am I a control freak that can't kind of like give up the keys? But on the other side, when you have a certain aesthetic standard and a way of doing things, and you're just seeing things that's just like so far off from where you're at, like eventually you just have to make a stand. And I think the thing for me is the opportunity cost, where she's writing all these scripts for me, but now I have to go film it, and now I have to like be the influencer. And then you're dealing with like other negative comments of other people seeing it like, oh, are you trying to be an influencer now? Which is so fucking far away from the truth of what I want to do. Like, I want to build a brand, I want to build a business, I want to invest in content and get better at that process and stuff like that. I would just like to be consistent. I would like to have way less on my workload and way less friction and way less feeling like, damn, the brand is getting away from my hands aesthetically, tone and vibe and feel. Because I believe that at the end of the day, like, those are the things that make you you. Those are the things that people gravitate towards. And if you start getting away from that, what do people have to trust? And this sort of like identity that you built up doing kind of one thing one way is now hoard out in a way, and it just like doesn't feel right in the whole process. So, you know, what are my other options? Cut that aspect out of my life and not have that same workload, or we can figure out a better, different approach that's going to still feel more natural, so when I open these posts, I don't get the cringe factor. But anyways, I hopped on the call and I just told her all that stuff straight up. I was like, here's where I'm at, here's the friction that I'm feeling, here's where I'm coming from. I want to take responsibility on a lot of this stuff and apologize because I've been dragging our feet and slowing down this project. But it's also like I don't feel good about the stuff that we're making. And that to me is like, it's hard when you're the one that has to do the stuff if you're not motivated to do the work, because you're not like believing in the end result and you're cringing when you see it. Like, what do you have to go off of?